What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to teach you how to sign on behalf of a limited liability company when it's owned by another LLC. All right, let's get started. So here's the issue that comes up a lot. People will follow my strategy where I talk about using a Wyoming limited liability company to be the member manager of a state-specific LLC. And the reason why we're doing this is that we want anonymity for those LLCs that we're creating to hold our rental real estate or flip deals. And so we have to set them up in a very specific way where the state-specific, let's say it was Texas, is owned by a Wyoming LLC. But the issue that comes up is when I'm signing on behalf of that Texas LLC, how do I sign? What position do I hold? Well, I'm going to teach you how to sign on behalf of that Texas LLC or whatever LLC it is when you're using that type of structure. So I'll be giving you two ways in which to handle this to hopefully demystify that and solve that issue, because it comes up a lot when you're going to closing, when you're trying to sign with contractors. Got to make sure you nail this so you get it right and you protect your anonymity shield. Best way to do that, let's go over the board and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you have a LLC structure like we're talking about here, where it's a state-specific LLC that's set up here, and I have that owned by my Wyoming limited liability company. So I'm down here and I'm going to be the manager of this LLC. So this is the Wyoming LLC and I'm the manager of that, and I'm also the member. But when I created my Texas, and again, it doesn't matter if this is Texas, Florida, fill in the state. When I created this limited liability company, I set that up as a member managed LLC. So if you look at the Secretary of State's filing, if you look at the operating agreement and the filings are congruent. They state that this Texas LLC is member managed by this blue box. So that's the one that is managing that company. Now, obviously, you couldn't write on an agreement, they say, who's the manager? You just sign blue box, because you have to have a representative of blue box sign on behalf of that company. So this is where it can get complicated or confusing for individuals when you're using this type of structure, because we have to make sure we're signing appropriately. If you don't sign it the right way, you could bring back liability onto yourself, and it kind of then defeats the entire purpose of this setup if you don't do it in the proper manner. So there's two ways you can handle this. Let me give you the first way. So the first way in dealing with this type of structure here is to sign as the manager of the blue box. So if I had to sign a document on behalf of this red box, we'll just call it Lone Star LLC. That's going to be the name of the red box. We'll have Lone Star LLC up here, and then in the signature line down here, we have to sign on behalf of this company. So I would sign Clint Coons, manager, I'm just going to put MGR, of Blue Box LLC. All right, so now I'm saying, hey, I'm the manager of Blue Box LLC. So I'm letting the people know that on the agreement that I have authority as the manager of Blue Box LLC. So Clint Coons, manager of Blue Box LLC, as its member manager. Okay, so that tells anybody looking at this that I am the manager of this company here, which is the member manager of Lone Star LLC. Now, I put Lone Star up here, so I assume that the document was created for that signature line where this would be the signature block. But let's say, for instance, you didn't have that signature block set up that way. So this does not exist. So then what do you need to do if that's not there? Well, what you're going to do now is you're going to say Clint Coons, manager of Blue Box LLC, okay, on behalf of Lone Star LLC, member manager. All right, now you're looking at this right now, and I can tell you my hand is hurting from having to write all of that out. You may run out of characters on the document, but unfortunately, this is the proper way to do it, because You do not sign as a manager. I would never sign Clint Coons, manager of Lone Star LLC, because I am not a manager, and I'm not going to take on that responsibility and say I have a position which I do not hold, because that could then bring personal liability back to me by that third party. So you got to be very specific on how you do this. So that's option number one. Now, there's another option, and it's actually my preferred way of structuring your entities, and that is to avoid having to go down to this granular level to sign on behalf of Lone Star LLC. What I like to do with my operating agreements when I set them up this way is create an officer of Lone Star LLC. So make sure that your operating agreement allows you to create officers for your limited liability company. And then when you're using this type of anonymity structure, it makes it really simple to sign on behalf of your company. All you need to do is sign in that representative capacity. So going back to my example here, if I had this set up as follows, what I would do now is that if I was a president, so if I set myself up as president of Lone Star, I would just sign Clint Coons, president of Lone Star LLC, just like that. Boom. Now I've accomplished the same thing. So these two are equivalent. One is signing as the member manager. The other one over here is signing as an officer of the company. So this is member manager. All right, so in my experience, a lot of times this is going to suffice. There are going to be those exceptions to the rule where maybe a lender or a title company won't necessarily accept this, and you'll have to go back here and do it this way. And you can actually fool around with this as far as that signature block is concerned, just making sure that you get all the necessary information in there to let them know you're a manager of this company that can then sign on behalf of this as its member manager. Hope you got a lot of information out of this. If those are questions that have been going through your mind, setting up the structures and saying, oh, how do I sign? Well, that's how you do it.